Hello, you've reached PRS, the Preternatural Research Society. Please leave a message after the beep.
3 a.m. Thursday, PRS receives a call from a distraught homeowner who says she cannot spend another night in her house. They're on the scene the next day.
The house is alive. At night, it changes.
It has to be something evil.
Can you tell us when you died?
Something just went right through me.
Pure darkness.
God, I'm seeing blood. Bodies. You've definitely got more than one down here.
This is just an unsettling area. It's like a mass grave.
I'll keep it coming, but if you can't handle it, you let me know.
There's people that won't step foot on this property.
Oh, God.
Each week, the Preternatural Research Society, a seasoned team of renowned psychics and historical researchers, has an urgent mission. Over the course of a 3-day investigation, they must scientifically uncover paranormal threats, remove unwanted spirits, and return a home to its rightful owners.
Everything you are about to see is real. All events take place over the course of a weekend. The investigators have no prior knowledge of the case.
All right, everyone, we're almost there. This house, from what I know, is very old.
Daryl Mitzen is an occult specialist and PRS team leader.
And I'm very excited to get in there and, of course, not only see Noelle and Jane what you pick up.
Jane Doherty is a published author and is recognized as one of America's top 25 psychics. Noelle Diodone is a spiritual intuitive with over 5 years of experience investigating the paranormal.
But I really want to catch something on tape this time. I want to get it on video or get it on audio.
Dave Owens is a police detective with 7 years of experience in paranormal investigation.
It sounds like it's a very haunted house. There's a lot of stuff going on. You guys are ready. I'm ready.
We're ready.
All right, let's get some ghosts.
My house is unique because it's very old. We think it's about 200 years old. We've lived here for about 25 years and raised our children here.
There's just a lot of love here. Everybody loves the house, except for a few.
There have been some things that were frightening.
The house is alive.
I've really never been afraid in the day, although I've heard sounds in the day and I'll say, what was that?
At night, it changes.
I have never spent the night here alone, and I know that I never could spend the night here alone.
It's pure darkness.
Once or twice I've heard someone call my name. I'll just hear Joanne.
In the 25 years that the McDonoughs have lived in their historic 200-year-old home, they have experienced disturbing paranormal activity. Recently, it has increased dramatically. Friends will not visit, and homeowner Joanne will not stay in the house alone. They have called in PRS for help.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Daryl, nice to meet you.
Dave.
Hi, Dave.
The McDonoughs' warm welcome is in sharp contrast to the chilling atmosphere of the house and the property. Jane picks up on it immediately.
Driving up, I had a very strange reaction. I got into an area where I felt very eerie, and I felt as though I'm being watched. I'm also getting impression the house could have been a hideout of some sort for gangsters.
You know, when we come into these houses, you have to be open to anything.
Lord bless this house, the food we are about to eat, our family, friends old and new, our troops, and God bless America.
Amen.
Amen.
Over dinner, the PRS team gathers first impressions of the McDonoughs' extended family.
I've lived here until I was about 8.
Granddaughter Jamie has seen the ghosts, and she's been terrified of this house since she was 3 years old.
When she was about 3, she told my sister Kathy and I that she would wake up to a lady in her room. And I said to her, what did you do? And she said, I would cry and cry until Daddy would come and get me.
Well, as soon as I sat down, I just knew where our skeptic was.
Skeptic Jason spends a lot of time in the house helping his Uncle John run a karaoke business.
Why are you skeptic?
A lot of it has to do with not seeing anything myself.
Everybody says there's things going on.
I haven't seen anything. I've spent plenty of time in this house. I've slept over plenty of nights. Nothing.
Who am I sitting next to?
Oh, you sit next to Mark Wilkinson. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I've been shot at. I've been, close to capture. I also belong to a motorcycle club. It's pretty tough.
A tour in Vietnam didn't scare him, but for Mark, the McDonough home is a different story.
And how are you a part of this?
An old friend of the family. Okay. Me and John were in the 3rd grade together, so I guess they took me in as a member of the family.
That's a nice thing.
This is my second home. But I only come over when there's somebody in the house.
After dinner, Jane psychically shields the family from the danger and malicious intent of the dead tenants, spirits who are caught in our physical dimension, unwilling or unable to move on to the afterlife.
Wherever we are, God's presence is, and that we're always in God's loving protection, and that there is no negativity that could ever penetrate us or harm us in any way. Thank you.
The first step in the investigation is for team leader Daryl to interview the family about the troubling increase of paranormal activity in their home.
Hey, what have you seen?
When I was working upstairs with Marky, we were doing the pipes. A piece of solder, just out of nowhere, just come flying towards us. I asked him, did you throw that? He said, I'm right in front of you. How am I going to throw it? That was enough for Marky. He got up and left.
I was sitting on the porch one day right here. I'm rocking here. Got my feet up, and I'm just, I'm looking at everything outside and everything else, and the clock on the wall, which is to your rear, started like somebody's just moving it, okay? And there was no wind. It was a hot summer day. I got up, got in my truck. I say, I'll never, ever again sit on this porch alone.
Almost every night, I wake up to the sound of my back door slamming. And my back door makes a certain sound, so you know it was that door. It would be so loud, to me at least, that I would sit up, and almost every time it was 4 o'clock. And I still, most nights, wake up at 4 o'clock, and whatever it is that wakes me scares me.
In its long history, the 200-year-old house has had many additions. Team leader Daryl decides to begin the investigation in the roots of the home, accompanied by police detective and paranormal investigator Dave Owens and homeowner John. He heads down to the basement. The psychics will soon follow individually.
So this is a room down here, this whole section.
Well, actually, there was an old wooden floor, and they probably use this to cook because they have a little metal arm to hold the pots.
Right. Okay.
I would think this would be their kitchen area.
Right.
Daryl believes that the deep history of the house will provide valuable clues about the dead tenants haunting the McDonoughs. Noelle will use her intuitive powers to sense what the investigators could not see.
Wow. My first immediate instinct is birth. I use my intuition and I use my instincts, which for some reason or another seem to be heightened, and I just get really strong ideas and feelings and vibes. I'm just getting a sense of birth. Coming back here, getting a strong feeling of people who died in this house and were buried near the house and just sort of never left the property. And I really get a sense, almost like there's a crowd down here watching what's going on.
20 minutes later, without knowing what Noelle encountered, Jane is about to experience a powerful, overwhelming sensation.
I really get a sense of someone hiding down here. What I'm seeing when I say I'm receiving an impression, I am getting a vision. I usually close my eyes, and it's like I'm looking down a long, dark tunnel, and I'm waiting for an image to appear. Something that just went right through me. My stomach is out again. You or someone else may feel spirit energy with a tingling sensation, the hair on the nape of your neck or on your arm, but for me, I have this physical manifestation. It's almost as though I'm pregnant and about to go through childbirth, because it is a contraction. And it starts low and goes right up immediately. It's around me. We're definitely being watched. It's a man. You've definitely got more than one down here. This is almost like bodies. There's a body or bodies buried. If not underneath this and whatever was here before, right close proximity to the house. Bodies. I think it's following us. Am I scared of the basement? Honestly, yes.
PRS has been called in to investigate the historic McDonough home. Following a recent increase in frightening paranormal activity, homeowner Joanne is terrified to be in the house alone, and family friend Mark is too scared to visit. As team leader Daryl Mitson and paranormal investigator Dave Owens move the investigation to the first floor of the house, John McDonough recounts a particularly disturbing encounter in the foyer.
Anything ever in this foyer?
This is where we saw the extra girl.
My husband and I were getting ready to leave for dinner.
This is the room where Joanne and I were getting ready to leave when Chris's friends came in.
There was 2 boys and a girl. We hadn't met the girl. We knew the boys for several years.
They introduced this girl that was with them, Liz.
And we thought she was very nice. And we said, just go on upstairs, to Chris's room, hang out, he'll be home soon.
They went upstairs away from my son, and another girl walked up behind him.
So we went down to dinner, and as we sat down, I said to John...
That was kind of strange. I knew what she was talking about.
She stood there, and no one introduced her, and she just kind of looked at us.
I says, yeah, they didn't introduce that girl to us, did they? She says, no.
We had our dinner, and we came home, and by then our son was home.
I asked him about it, and he says, what are you talking about? It was Paul, Wyatt, and Liz. I said, Chris, there was another girl here with them. Your mother and I both saw her go upstairs.
She was very plain. She wasn't see-through or, vague in any way. It was a person standing there.
I was a skeptic until I saw that girl go up the steps.
After an intense encounter earlier in the basement, Jane comes upstairs to continue her psychic search in the foyer.
Getting a lot of pain on the top of my head. Image of someone being hit on the head. It's the end of a rifle. Somebody died in this hallway. The woman in the skirt is rushing over and tending to whoever it is that's fallen here. God, I'm seeing blood. I'm seeing someone tying the tourniquet. This is definitely somebody wounded that could be a soldier. Okay, it's leaving me so I can walk home.
Just 6 hours into the investigation of the 200-year-old house, PRS has sensed an alarming amount of paranormal activity, including several spirits in the basement and a soldier in the foyer.
The room that scares me the most in the house is the sitting room.
13-year-old Jamie, who has lived in the house since the age of 8, is too terrified to enter the sitting room without her grandmother nearby.
My grandma is sitting behind me right now because I don't feel comfortable with my back facing the sitting room.
I feel like there might be something that likes this chair a lot.
There is a dead tenant that sits over there. My wife has seen him.
I would see out of the corner of my eye what appeared to be a tall man with a hat peeking around the corner from the hall, and when I would turn directly at him, I wouldn't see it. When I would look at the TV, I would see him again from this angle.
In this room where we're sitting, supposedly a man sits in the chair behind me. See the chair, my shadow. That's it.
The spirit of the tall man moves from room to room. Jane and Noel continue their walkthroughs separately, pursuing him into the family room.
This whole room is odd in the way it is. I'm feeling strange, as though none of this belongs.
Distinct impression of a male, tall male, very thin.
We're doing karaoke one night. I'm doing this Joe Cocker song, and I'm really screaming and yelling into the mic.
I really feel like there's a constant party happening.
I feel like I'm back in time.
Just as the house has grown and more people have lived here, it's almost as if the house collected the people who lived here.
Out of the side of my eye, I just seen a person walk past the hallway towards the front door. I said, Joanne, somebody's here. So we stopped and we looked, nobody was here.
This is a path. Again, it's like I'm seeing this people running.
It's just like a real quick shadow. It's a person, it's like a shadow, and it just shoots right at, I've seen it twice.
All the different generations, maybe they're all hanging out together.
There's a lot here, and I'm not expecting that. That's what's blowing me away. But I mean, I'm freaked.
Noel, followed by Jane, discovers a paranormal hotspot in the most unlikely area.
I was in this room earlier, and right over here, very, very distinct impression of a female.
This is an area I want to explore because when I went to the bathroom before, it felt to me that there was something watching me. As I get here, my stomach is going out. When I came into the house earlier, one of my first impressions was of a woman.
I actually had just come in here to brush my hair, and there was definitely a high level of interest. Taller than me, kind of tall and thin.
She's probably also appeared at different times in the house. Maybe just out of the corner of your eye, you see it or you feel this swoosh of a dress. I get Jenny.
The first specific spirit discovery, a ghost named Jenny, is confirmed by Joanne's earlier description of the same spirit.
I was out on the porch, the far end, and I was painting my spindles, and I saw a woman in a long white dress come up my steps and come in my front door. I put down my paintbrush and I came in and I said, "Hello, may I help you?" And I walked around the house, and she wasn't downstairs, so I ran upstairs because Jamie was watching TV. I ran in and I said, "Jamie, did somebody come in here?" And she said, "No, no one's been in here."
There are many spirits and still nothing that ties them together. Daryl heads upstairs. He's searching for a clue that will piece this puzzle together.
This is another bedroom.
This is your bedroom now?
This is my bedroom.
Anything happen in here?
No, not for me. Well.
I think Joanne gets very disturbed in this room. I feel like she really feels like she's being watched. And my impression is she feels like she's being watched by a former woman of the household.
In sharp contrast to their shared vision in the bathroom, Noelle and Jane's impressions of the master bedroom are radically different.
I'm seeing horses. I'm seeing a wagon in front of me.
Somebody was sick for a really, really long time, and everyone just sort of waited for them to pass.
I'm seeing a wagon carrying a coffin. There's a lot of death around us.
While Jane tries to make sense of her disturbing vision of death, Daryl learns of John's startling discovery outside 2 weeks earlier.
All right, what I want to show you is what I found up in back of the house. Right down here, underneath these bushes.
Upstairs, Jane's vision becomes frighteningly personal.
I want to cry. I feel like I've lost family here, and there's been other kinds of deaths.
This was all just matted vine. So we went to clean it all out, and a buddy of mine with the rake hit something that was metal.
It's making me feel as though I am back in time. Spirit here, and there is loss of life.
That's what I picked up.
I'd like to know, why does anybody bury a gun?
5-shot revolver.
Nobody buries a gun. People keep guns.
Harrington Richardson.
I'm hoping to find out if it was involved in some kind of tragedy.
I don't think they're in business now, but they made weapons like the 1870s up to like early 1980s. It's one of those where you can put it in your waistband and or in your coat pocket, and you can see it's not heavy. Even if it was loaded, it's not very heavy. Good.
9 hours into the investigation, and PRS has uncovered the spirits of an unknown soldier, a matronly older woman, a tall, thin man, and a girl named Jenny. The discovery of a gun buried on the property adds a new dimension to this haunting puzzle.
You guys all done with your walkthroughs?
Yeah.
Oh, very glad we're done with them.
Inside the PRS mobile unit, Daryl debriefs the team.
Psychically, I'm overwhelmed because there's so much.
It's like being in a crowded room. It's a complete tapestry.
Unbelievable.
In the dead of night, Daryl sets up infrared cameras in the foyer to capture any spirit activity that occurs while the family and investigators sleep. While the rest of his team slept for a few hours, Daryl continued his scientific analysis, reviewing camera data. Desperate to shed light on Jane's powerful psychic impressions and make sense of the McDonough mystery, he notes an unexplained movement on the stairs.
This was the camera that we put down on the bottom steps last night.
This could be the much-needed proof of spirit activity.
There it goes. All right, that to me looks like it's a moth. No phenomenon.
But it's only an insect, and the mystery remains. Hoping that a historical perspective will provide much-needed answers to the puzzling case, Daryl calls in PRS researcher Kenny Roginski.
What do you have historically that can lead credence or plausibility to what we've said so far about this case?
Noelle felt birthing feelings in the basement.
My first immediate instinct is birth.
That was living space. There was a kitchen there. That was their cook stove.
Somebody giving birth, biting on a towel.
Those kids were born right in that kitchen where it was warm. Noelle also felt the crowd in the house, like as if there was a party walking through.
I really feel like there's a constant party happening.
That makes sense because it was a boarding house. And this was a pretty happening vacation spot going back to the 70s and before that.
Family friend Mark returns to the McDonoughs, eager to see if the ghosts have been removed from the house.
I actually thought that John was rigging things. And I found out that he wasn't.
Mark will not go outside to his truck without my dog.
I turned around one day in the kitchen and I'm looking at the wall and I'm saying, look, somebody's here. Why don't you be a man about it and throw a glass on the floor? Move something. Do something so I know you're here, so I really believe. And I stood in the kitchen for about maybe 10 minutes, nothing. And it aggravated me, nothing.
For PRS, the McDonough home is a haunted puzzle that includes the spirit of a girl in the bathroom, a tall man in the sitting room, an old woman upstairs, a gun buried outside near the house, and a mysterious soldier in the downstairs hallway. Just what are the reasons behind all this activity?
Kind of an interesting story for everyone. We ended up finding what looks like a very old gun. To me, you don't just throw away a legal licensed gun.
When I first approached the house, as I started to look around and sense things, I had a vision of a thin man. And then it gave me an impression as though he was a gangster.
This area is actually synonymous with organized crime activity. 20s and 30s, major bootlegging going on, including money laundering.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, it's a total hideout because it's in the boonies. I mean, look at us. We're surrounded by nothing.
And also was a boarding house for a number of years. And that would be a very secluded place for someone to hide out, ditch a gun, run to your money.
Boarding house, other people, a lot of gangsters. So there is some kind of connection here.
Could the gun have belonged to the Thin Man, a gangster who boarded at the house in the 1920s and now haunts the sitting room?
Now, there's a point here which I really am hoping that we can come to some kind of resolution with. It's a spirit that Noelle had felt, and this was up in the bedroom.
Somebody was sick for a really, really long time.
She said that it was an older woman, and she had died from a lengthy illness.
And it sort of became an accepted reality, and everyone just sort of waited for them to pass.
Or Jane, I mean, were you in that room upstairs yet?
I was in that room, but I had something entirely different. I'm seeing horses. I'm seeing a wagon in front of me. I'm seeing a wagon carrying a coffin.
Charles and Beatrice Everett, they lived here for 50 years, from 1925 until 1979. And Beatrice actually died in 74 of Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow. Now, with Alzheimer's, what happens is a spirit is in confusion, and they'll stay here, and they won't know where to go. Oftentimes, a family member might have to actually come and get them.
That makes sense because Charles Everett loved his horse and wagon. Into the 1940s, everybody's driving around in their motor cars. He would ride around in his horse-pulled wagon.
Here's this connection of her husband, coming to get her. And maybe this is either him, calling for her, let me take you away, or how she's hoping that someone will come get her. And maybe you picked up on one of her thoughts of her, her husband coming to get her in the way she would have expected him to.
Could the spirits in the master bedroom be those of Charles and Beatrice Everett, former owners whose undying love for one another has bound their souls to their home? Two mysteries remain: Jane's deeply personal encounter with the soldier in the foyer, and Jenny, the spirit in the McDonough's bathroom. Individually, the psychics described their visions of Jenny to illustrator Trevor McCarthy.
There's a female in the bathroom.
Okay.
Young.
How young?
I gauged her 22.
Okay.
Long, straight hair, pointy chin, narrow face. If she was watching TV or she was watching the people, she would do like this, put her hand under her chin.
Mm-hmm. She was brushing her hair. That's good.
There's an incredible similarity between Jane and Noelle's illustration of Jenny.
She hangs out in the bathroom and she looks at you.
And Daryl goes back to where Jenny was first discovered. he uses a thermal camera which records variations in temperature to confirm the existence of a warm spot where the spirit may exist.
My hand's on it. Slide your hand back a little bit.
Ready now?
I'm ready.
Suspecting that the hot spot may be a vortex, a portal through which spirits travel, he places his microphone directly on it. He hopes to increase his chances of capturing electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, voices from beyond the grave.
Daryl and Noel in the bathroom. This will be the 3 minutes of silence. Can you tell us when you died? Was that you that just dimmed the lights?
Are the dimming lights a ghostly answer to Daryl's questions? The mystery continues to deepen as Trevor adds details to his illustrations of Jenny. Dave stakes out the basement, hoping to witness paranormal activity. And Daryl and Jane hold an impromptu meeting.
What about Mark, Daryl? It's a real puzzle. He's been a Vietnam vet, and yet he's having a strange reaction.
To me, it's an odd story because, I mean, he's this tough guy. I mean, he's a Marine, a Vietnam vet. He'll hang out, but not alone. You know, he'll come over if somebody else walks him to his car at night.
He's been in battle. What could be more frightening than being in battle, and yet he's reacting to the house? So there may be something there we've overlooked or that he's not telling us.
The land around the McDonough property remains unexplored, and Daryl asks Noel to investigate this haunted terrain.
We're being watched. It's a male patrolled space. Soldiers, not soldiers necessarily marching. I think maybe there were soldiers lying here, soldiers that had been wounded. We are coming upon either a resting place where people either are buried or people were dying, and we're sort of intruding on their space. This is just an unsettling area. It's like a mass grave. It's really...
See. It's Sunday morning, the final day of the investigation, and the mysteries of the McDonough house still linger. While the ghosts of the Everetts and the Thin Man have been explained, 2 mysteries remain unsolved. Who is Jenny, the girl in the bathroom, and who is the unknown soldier experienced so intensely by Jane in the foyer and then by Noel in the woods? Daryl has reviewed over 20 hours of EVP recordings. He has not slept in nearly 36 hours.
Would you like to contact him? The team and I spent a lot of time here in our mobile unit, checking out all the data, in particular the EVPs that we recorded. And it is my expert conclusion after hours of study that we have nothing.
Now I want you to manifest.
And they didn't listen. They didn't listen to my girl Jane.
There is still no hard evidence to support the psychic's detailed impressions.
Very cars going by, this is what I'm looking at over here.
The technological, scientific aspect is we want to keep this as scientific and honest as possible. It's a kind of world where people want to see things or hear things, and we want to supply that to people who might not believe in the psychics. We want to give them something harder to go on. That's why you have to spend the time.
Is there anybody here?
And some cases do tie up in a neat little bow, but it doesn't always happen that way.
It's not a matter of them being crazy or making it up. I guess I believe them, but, you know, I can only believe what they say. Maybe that's why I do go around the rooms and look and want evidence. Actually, I kind of feel left out of the whole thing, you know?
There's a man that collapses in front of her.
Jane describes to illustrator Trevor McCarthy her most powerful experience of the weekend, a soldier near death.
It was her, and it was this tourniquet being put on his wrist.
Okay.
So he obviously was bleeding. He was just tumbling and collapsing, and she's there trying to help him.
Still searching for answers, Jane calls an emergency team meeting in the PRS mobile unit.
I had a very intense experience in the hallway of the house. Image of someone being hit on the head. It's the end of a rifle. Somebody died in this hallway. Then I saw a Civil War soldier lying down. It affected me intensely.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. There were no battles fought here with these soldiers. Are you sure you didn't maybe confuse this with something else?
You're right about there not being any battles in upstate New York. However, there are over 60 regiments from Orange County and Ulster County alone. This means there's thousands of Civil War soldiers in this area.
This was a very emotional thing for me, and I need to find this out because it's personal to me. It just hit me so hard, I can't stop thinking about it.
Jane, originally the property was humongous, and it might be a good idea if you just walk the property, and maybe you'll pick up something that was attached to the property instead of attached to the house.
That makes sense. If there is more with the Civil War soldier, I will find more.
Hoping to provide the answers she so desperately needs, the McDonoughs take Jane out to the dam on their property. Will this excursion shed light on the mysterious Civil War soldier and his reasons for haunting their home? At the end of the Civil War, thousands of soldiers returned to New York's Hudson Valley, often wounded and tired from the long journey home.
Okay, and this is the dam.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I have a feeling that there may have been more than one Civil War soldier.
If they were together and the one was seriously wounded and he sat against the tree and he said, let me get help, and walked directly back, would hit our house.
If you were to go from this to your house, would it be straight back?
Right there.
This was part of our property. I have a very heavy scent standing here, almost like a chill, but like goosebumps.
Can't breathe?
Can't get a good breath. Kind of like just very heavy.
The PRS investigation of the McDonough's centuries-old homestead has uncovered phenomena which spans the long history of the house. These include a gun belonging to a tall, thin gangster, former owners Charles and Beatrice Everett, a girl named Jenny Martin, and a Civil War soldier who died in the foyer while trying to find aid for a wounded friend. Jane and the McDonoughs returned to the house for the PRS research team's final report.
So in other words, in 1890, you had the Martin family living here.
We have a Jenny.
And there's Jenny Martin.
I get Jenny.
Jenny came to you?
Jenny came to me in the bathroom. It's a long dress on. This is what I saw in the bathroom downstairs. It was strong. I felt she was watching me. Probably
Same girl. I mean, it's the resemblance is striking. I think it's the same one, Jan. There is a young girl very interested in what's going on in that bathroom.
I think the hair was more straight, but she saw the same thing I did.
John and Joanne believe that this is the spirit of Jenny Martin, the strange girl that they both saw walking up the stairs.
Moving on to the back of the property, Plattekill has always been famous for an ancient Indian dam. The dam has an abundance of peat moss. It's notorious for keeping dead bodies preserved. This is an excellent article. which talks about the discovery of a Civil War soldier preserved in the peat moss. They found him sitting up against a tree.
Where did they find him? Close by here?
They found it at the dam up in the swamp area.
Somebody died in this hallway.
I'm connecting to that same thing that happened in the hallway.
That woman in the skirt is rushing over and tending to whoever it is that's fallen here.
I'm just so overwhelmed. It feels like I relived it so intensely because it's something that happened to me. And knowing about the Civil War soldier has just freaked me. It's just, I'm overwhelmed again.
The historical confirmation of the Civil War soldier and Jenny, who possibly tended his fatal wounds, explains Jane's psychic divide. She initiates a seance, a harrowing ritual in which she will attempt to directly communicate with the Civil War spirits and restore harmony to the McDonough's house.
It is not going to be the spirits of loved ones. It is particularly for what's here in the house to come and give us more knowledge. Okay, we can join hands. We ask any spirits that are in the house to come into the center of the circle.
Daryl uses a thermal camera to record the seance. Any fluctuation in temperature could indicate the presence of spirits.
All right, beginning to feel a sensation.
My feet are cold.
Your feet are cold?
My feet are cold.
Okay. All right, we're beginning to feel you. Okay.
Mark is vibrant.
I'm burning up.
Okay.
I was cold, now I'm burning up.
I'm walking over to him.
The temperature in the room is a cool 68 degrees, yet former Vietnam vet Mark appears abnormally hot.
I'm burning up.
So there is something around you now, Mark. Able to handle it? If you okay. I'll keep it coming, but if you can't handle it, you let me know and we'll drop hands. All right. Do you sense it's a man or a woman? Is there a heavy presence or a light presence?
Can't sense nothing.
Okay. Any other symptoms besides that burning sensation?
A vomiting feeling.
A vomiting feeling.
I want to walk. I think about walking.
You're feeling pressure on your shoulders? All right, and you're almost across from each other, and he's beating too. Okay, are you feeling any other kind of sensations like Mark is?
No, it doesn't seem as extreme.
As Mark relives the death of the Civil War soldier, he continues to burn up with fever.
All right. Yes. Feel any chest pains or anything?
No, just
touching.
Jane, his arm is up in the air. I can feel it. His left arm is rising up in the air.
Right through me.
I want to walk.
Now I see what Mark said with the kind of the walking sensation. Like I want to get up.
Oh, God.
I think he wants me to stand, should I?
Yeah, okay. Pressure behind your body.
Yeah, my knees are almost buckling, actually.
Just
like swaying, I'm trying to keep my body loose.
Okay. Are you feeling anything more, Mark?
I want to walk. Hot and walking for some reason.
Walking. So it could be, yes,
Hot and walking.
Crying? Go ahead. What's it doing?
Can't sense nothing.
During the seance, the spirits of two Civil War soldiers who died on the last leg of their long journey home were released through skeptic Jason and former United States Marine Mark.
Why can't I stop shaking?
What's happened is you've had an intense experience, for one. Two, it's come as a total shock and surprise to you. And three, because of not eating, so you're not totally grounded. Also in seeing the connection of the soldier, you being a military man, you relived how he died.
And he came to me because I'm a military man.
Yes. Whether it was centuries ago or now, there is that kinship. I picked it up at the swamp. There were two soldiers. One was injured, walking and trying to get help for the other guy who was then found at the tree. In essence, what happened is you became very psychic. Mark had a very intense reaction.
We do know that there is something about a Civil War soldier here, maybe more than one. So I believe that may have been what occurred there.
two Civil War soldiers separated by death were reunited hundreds of years later in the seance.
When he was in the psychic circle, you could tell how he reacted to the spirit that was coming through.
A lot of pressure on my back, my right shoulder.
He was sweating profusely.
My right hand rose uncontrollably without any muscle use.
I was holding his right hand with my left. I could feel my hand and his being pushed up.
I felt that I could fight it, but it just kept rising, though, if I just relaxed. Everything kind of moved. My knees buckled at one point. I had the urge to stand, and something, was going on inside of me. I definitely felt it.
So it was obvious that he was experiencing something there.
There's definitely some type of spiritual energy, if not ghost. Something exists out there. It's amazing. It's really cool. Mark reacted before me. I noticed a lot of sweat coming off his head, and I'm usually a guy who sweats.
I've been in war. Never this scared. A Vietnam veteran's never been this scared before.
I believe he was really shaken up.
Poisonous snakes, the Viet Cong, the fear of getting captured, becoming a POW. Nothing like this. This tore me up a little bit in here.
Mark was on my left, and I could feel his hand start to tremble, and we kind of placed it on his leg, and I could feel his legs start to really shake, and I thought, now, is he just nervous? And then I felt the heat coming off of him, and he was really burning up.
I was burning up with fever, like an oven. Open the oven door, and it hits you, and this was worse.
When I looked at him, the sweat was just coming down his face, and really, really profusely.
Like somebody was aflame all over my body. My feet, my socks were wet, like I poured water inside my boots. Then I got a vomiting feeling like I got now, like I'm gonna throw up.
I got a little concerned about him.
I'm a bad Catholic. I want to start being a good Catholic. I want to start going to church, worshiping God. Confession, I'm gonna pick that up again. I sat down thinking that it's gonna be just a ritual that I see on television every once in a while. It's television. It's acting. I just experienced it. Jump on my Harley, go out and take a nice long ride. Just me and the road. Just me and the road. Think about this, what happened tonight. When I drove home from here, I was very uncomfortable. I just felt like he was still with me all the way home.
It seems strangely peaceful and calm, and we think that possibly the spirits may have left. I still wouldn't stay alone at night. You could not bribe me to stay here alone at night.
Marky still needs Maya to walk him to the door.
I wish somebody could bring him back. I wish I could do it over again. Maybe I'd have more, I'd learn more about him, or we'd communicate in another way. But, it's kind of sad because it'll never happen again.